The Mohawk Regional School District has been taking steps toward changing their logo, which uses Native American imagery. The logo has already been phased out on sports uniforms, and now the Regional School Committee will vote at a meeting in May on whether to remove a mural in the gym that was gifted to the school. I sat down with Michael Buoniconti, the superintendent of the Mohawk Regional District, and two high school students, May Rice-Lesure and Grace Gokey, to find out more.
Well, the issue of Native American imagery has been pretty front and center for decades at this point, but in our neck of the woods, it came up in a history class in high school about 3 years ago and evolved into a debate on the pros and cons of the Native American imagery. And from there, it moved into our local education council, who has been discussing it for the past year and a half or so. And more recently, it's reached the school committee level.
Okay, and May, this is something that's important to you. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in this.
I became really involved at the end of last year. There was a sign-up sheet in the front office asking for students who were interested in discussing the school mascot. And so me and Grace and some other kids in my class met probably like 2 times before the year ended, just trying to figure out a path that we're going to take in the following year surrounding the issue.
Okay, so Grace, this has already been moved off of like the sports uniforms, if I'm correct in that, yes? So why is it necessary? It looks like there's 2 major images that are still up in the school. Why is it necessary to take them down?
Because the images perpetuate an idea of Native Americans that is not accurate to what's in the area. Like, for example, the one on the gym is a Plains Indian, and which doesn't correspond with the name Mohawk or the Native Americans who lived in this area and do live in this area now. And it's like our job to make sure that we're not like spreading that image and that idea to the people that come through our school, and we're not internalizing the idea of like who Native Americans are.
Is there an opportunity for education though? Because I know one of the alumni who I think gifted that image to the school had suggested maybe updating the image. Is there an opportunity for something like that as opposed to removing it?
I don't think so, because the image that stands there now isn't inaccurate, and it is an offensive image, which many Native Americans have stood up and said to us that it's not okay for that to be up, and to have a different image up would be okay and something that's more accurate, but at the moment there's not a way to change the current image to make it correct.
Okay, and May, how are other students feeling about this?
It's not something that is necessarily discussed during our school day very often, but there are a good number of students who would not like the mural to come down. A lot of our students have parents who are alumni from the school, and so it's very clear that there's a narrative that they're hearing about it. So.
Well, there's both sides of the story,
Yeah.
right? So what the high school's reflecting is probably what the community is feeling. You know, there is, of course, probably people on both sides of the issue. When this happened in Turner's Falls, there was quite a bit of controversy in that community as well. Are you feeling like you're going to be able to navigate, through all of that as the change comes?
So there's a great deal of passion on both sides of the topic. And on one side, there's a lot of passion around the traditions of the school and associating school pride with the imagery. And on the other side, there's just a sensitivity toward the Native American people, and that they're not stuck in time back in the 1800s, but that they are alive and well, and that we should reflect who they really are today. So I think that we're trying to learn from what happened in our neighbors at Turner's Falls. And one of those things I think that we felt would be important was to move fairly quickly through the process and not allow the situation to fester. So school committee is preparing to make a decision at their May school committee meeting.
Okay, and why not remove the name Warriors?
Well, I think to bring you up to speed on where we are with this, the school committee the other night talked about 3 things. The imagery, the warrior name, as well as the name Mohawk Trail itself. So I think those 3 items are going to be discussed in May. The name Mohawk, I don't think there was so much energy around, but I do think that both the imagery and the name warrior are going to be pretty hotly debated, and a decision is going to be made whether or not to continue with both of those.
You know, some people I know who would be opposed to this idea would say, listen, this is just political correctness, and that's all it is, and that's the way the nation is moving, and they're upset by that. You know, what's your response?
Well, I think that we have a great deal of respect for tradition. We also have a great deal of respect for people and who they are and their identities and what's important to them. This is, from my perspective, this is a tremendous learning opportunity. And what I'm hoping for that comes out of this, if we are to remove the mural in the gymnasium, I do think replacing is going to be a significant topic. And what I'm imagining is students like those to my left here sit down with students from years gone by, as well as with Native American people, to talk about how can we do this in a way that gives dignity to everybody involved in the process. And that is not just for the replacement of what's on the wall now, but for the curriculum going forward. We're hoping to develop a course that's going to be very specific about Native American history in our area, which will give us a chance to develop relations with the Mohawk people, indigenous people, and so, I mean, to me, that's the real exciting learning opportunity down the road.
When you look at the mascot controversy just across the country, you know, some people have also brought up, and I guess I can ask you, May, Fighting Irish, right? You know, Notre Dame. And it's a leprechaun, you know, for Irish Americans, they might be offended by that. You know, at what point do you stop trying to change the names of mascots? Cowboys could be viewed as sexist. So at what point, you know, does the issue kind of stop?
I think that what's happening right now can be viewed as the most relevant with the Native American mascots because of the racist stereotypes that it does perpetuate. So asking where is the stopping point? I don't know.
That's kind of a big question at 17.
Yeah.
Where's the stopping point? The most immediate thing for you right now is your community.
Addressing what's most important and what's happening.
Addressing what's most important. Have you learned anything in these discussions, you know, even from people who disagree with you? Have you come to a point where you said, wow, you know, I never considered that? So has this been a nice learning process for you as well?
Yeah, definitely. I've learned so much through all the meetings that we've had, like from both people who agree and disagree with what we're talking about, and learning about why people are so connected to this issue and why people find it offensive and the ramifications of having this imagery and this wording in our school.
I know you both are going off to college in the fall, which is very exciting. How has the process been for you? You know, I know Grace said that she learned quite a bit, but how has it been for you?
It's been kind of eye-opening. I grew up in Ashfield, Massachusetts, which is a fairly progressive and very liberal town. And so I kind of just imagined like the rest of the hill towns. I'm like, oh, it's so cool to live in such a progressive place. And then this was kind of eye-opening in seeing how diverse our community really is and how they feel about these topics. And it was kind of surprising, but also to hear the different ideas on the other side of the argument, because there was the idea that this is a gift, it's tradition, this is what we should respect, but then also the people that felt very strongly about keeping history alive and using the term whitewashing a lot. So I thought that was very interesting, hearing those different perspectives, that there's not just one argument on the other side.
That there are many arguments.
I'm hoping this experience has given the students a sense of agency, that they can change the world around them if they have the courage to stand up and communicate their perspective.